So I'm not here to talk about Nikola from a moral standpoint. We all know the sins that Nikola has committed in the past that it's still paying for to this day. I'm here to discuss, given the recent events, whether Nikola is going to make it or not. So the stock price, just judging by that alone, it's not exactly headed to the best place. Nikola has certainly seen better days. And you can look at it from the short term or for the long term. And once it goes below $1, Nikola has got to face the danger of delisting, of which, it will probably reverse split out of. The stock price by itself, though, does not mean, doesn't dictate whether the company is going to make it or not. So we got to look at the actual business fundamentals. So let's do that. Just taking a look at their revenue. This is from their latest earnings. As far as their full year, they brought in $51 million in revenue, which is, it's showing a substantial amount of growth. Growth as far as the revenue Nikola is bringing in is not their biggest weakness. We'll get into that later, but their revenue, it's looking pretty good from a growth standpoint. Now, however, I do have to point out that although they are growing in revenue by the quarter and by the year, they did miss analyst estimates, and they missed it by a lot. The 80%, yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about their deliveries. Taking a look at their balance sheet, you can see their cash is dwindling, which is a bit troublesome. And yes, we're going to go over their $100 million stock offering in a bit. But yeah, their cash is dwindling. They have some long-term investments, which, they could draw upon if they needed. They got some restricted cash, which, but that's locked up for at least a year or more. If you take a look at their liabilities, they did take out quite a bit of long-term debt, which is not exactly optimal, but we have to consider it. They took out quite a bit of debt. Taking a quick look at their cash flow, a lot of stock-based comp, which not optimal. Their business, their operating activities, they are losing $577 million. And you can see down here from their financing activities that they are keeping themselves afloat through debt and issuing stocks. Now, for a growing company that hasn't yet made it, this is, it's pretty normal as long as they eventually grow out of it. So let's talk about that. Now, there's a lot going for them as far as growth potential. They launched their own energy brand. They expect to deliver 250 to 350 tray BEVs. They expect to deliver 125 to 150 tray FCVs. Those are the hydrogen ones, I think. They got some cost-saving initiatives. Now, they didn't list any guidance as far as revenue, just deliveries. But if you take a look at analyst estimates, they got Nikola coming in at $155 million for the year. Now, that's not anywhere close to enough to equate to their cash burn through their operating activities. But they are growing, a 205% growth in this year, and by the end of next year, assuming they get their deliveries out, they're expected to get $569 million at the end of 2024. So they are growing, and analysts also have them, streaking going upwards as far as EPS. If you scroll down here, 20% next year and 20% each year after that. So as long as Nikola, honors these and gets the trucks out on time, it's still a bit dicey because they have to. They're pretty much matching their massive growth against their cash burn, in which they have lots of dwindling cash. They did add $100 million dollars in stock offering to that, which is going to help a little bit. So that increases their $233 million to $333 million, which is great. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I read in another article that they actually had trouble selling this $100 million stock offering. They eventually did it, but it wasn't easy for them to sell. So before even bringing up their deliveries, or lack thereof, we can already see it's a pretty risky race between their massively growing revenue, $155 million, versus their expenses. And let's just take it last year. $644 million in expenses. Yeah, that with $333 million in cash. I think they may have to do more stock offerings in the future. That's just me. That or debt or something. It already seems like a risky game. Now let's talk about their deliveries. So, according to Reuters, as of February, the end of February, their deliveries, Nikola's deliveries, are not exactly great. Nikola, in Nikola's own words on this article, they said the issues hitting demand for his battery-powered trucks are not expected to ease in the near future after it delivered fewer than a sixth of its battery-powered trucks it made in the fourth quarter. It produced 133 trucks and only delivered 20. So right now, I mean, Nikola's problem isn't getting demand or pre-orders or orders or anything like that. I mean, it's them actually producing and delivering them. I mean, that's my worry with Hyliion. Hyliion's getting a lot of orders too, and that's fantastic. I mean, what we need to see it actually deliver those orders for me to be sold on it. And with Nikola, I mean, it's just not doing that. It says it expects to deliver between 250 and 350 Tre BEVs this year. But, I mean, given Nikola's track record, do we know if Nikola's going to do it or not? Do we know if it's not going to do it? And I know a lot of the production issues are due to, macroeconomics and inflation, all that. I mean, but that doesn't make the situation any better knowing that. So I see this as a very high risk, high reward situation. It pretty much comes down to whether Nikola can actually start delivering these on time and in the amount that they say. I mean, even without this, like this $100 million stock offering, given the numbers, they're probably going to have to do this or debt at least a few more times just to stay afloat. I mean, I don't see how they can get out of that. Now, if Nikola gets through all this in one piece and they actually meet these analyst estimates and we actually get through this, I think Nikola's going to be fine, and I think the stock will play out nicely in the long run. But I mean, a lot of it has to go right, and they really have to get these deliveries out. There's no question about that at all. So yeah, we'll see how Nikola does with the deliveries over the next few quarters, and that should probably determine whether Nikola has a future or not. Again, high risk, high reward. But anyways, take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.